Hey, welcome back to part two, and we're sitting with Leroy,
Yes.
and he is talking about information products, digital products, how to create them, how to sell them, what are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to launching their digital product businesses. And so far, we've covered a few things. Number one, you have to be a good teacher. You might have all the information in your head, but you might not be able to process and really articulate that information back to someone. So that's step one. You have to be a good teacher. Number two, you need to really position yourself in the market on two levels. You need to be able to position yourself from a messaging standpoint, and you need to be able to actually pick the actual what was
Content level positioning. So
content, and what is the other one? Product.
Yes.
And step two is really understanding that you need to be able to position yourself on a content level and on a messaging level. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Technically, yeah.
Okay, we can just continue then. And then that is a process in its own, as we've discussed. And then it's about actually putting the courses together, and that's where we left off with the last episode. And that's what we want to take off today, is when it comes to putting these courses together, any simple, quick maybe pieces of advice on what you think people should be looking for when they put their information together, and what maybe are some of the biggest mistakes people make. Just short and sweet if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of like the dream of what's sold as the digital product is the idea that you can create this product once and sell it infinitely, right? Because it's digital, there's no product cost, at least after creating it the first time, or minimal at least. No cost of replication. So everyone has a stream of like, okay, I'll create an ebook, I'll create a video course, and then I can literally sit back and like have the sales rolling in.
Yeah.
But at some point, so it comes back to the whole thing of being able to do it as a service and a coaching. So actually, for all our clients, I always recommend they have a community aspect. Even if they charge, even if it's going to be a super cheap product, you should always have a community, because the perfect product is going to sell by itself. Long story short, is your customers should get you more customers, right? And so the only way to refine your product is to actually get the feedback constantly, and adjust, right? And so we created our digital product training, but that's after consulting and working with the clients so much that I knew every little thing in their head where there was a problem, right? And I knew every single thing that we're going to struggle with, right? And so you have to, in my view, when you're launching a course, have a community, because it's going to help you as you craft the course. What we do, just actually as a step-by-step process, is first we create the blueprint for the training. So we actually create a presentation structure as training material. So how we like to structure all our lessons is we have clear outcomes, and then we go through each point in the lesson. We try to make them not too long, and of course clear examples through everything. But once again, all of this can be recorded, can be delivered, but you need the community to adjust and see what they're struggling with the most. And the more that you can adjust the course based on what people struggle with, right? In my view, the more scalable it truly becomes, right? Because then you have also the client flywheel, because that's a huge part, in my view, at least for how we market, that makes the selling a lot easier. And it really strengthens your market dominance at the end of the day, because results is a huge thing, which is much more difficult to compete on versus just, marketing messages that people say. Results are actually more powerful, right?
Sure.
So a huge thing, I think, when launching a course is, yes, structure it out perfectly. It's not so complex to structure out a course. You just need to have a little bit of a diagram for yourself. We have a course planner, and then we have like a presentation template that people can use, right? And you can use that as an ebook or even a video course, but most of our clients, we say video course is better. But after that, you need a community, because you need to be able to get that rapid feedback and see how you can improve it, because the only thing that's better than making automated sales is scaling with automated sales and having people just come in and sell themselves on the whole thing. And I've seen a lot of people, once again, that's another mistake, right, is productizing too much too quickly, right? So you got to be able to refine it, adjust it, even that first product, whatever, and then you will get to a point where it's really, really good, and the only thing you're doing is just adding more and more, just trying to make it easier for your clients.
And I think if I have to ask myself, what is the most important thing? I feel like there is no most important thing. Everything is equally important. Because some people would say marketing is the most important, but again, if you're not a good teacher, if you don't have good positioning, if you don't have good content, then that's going to be short-lived. You have to be an amazing teacher, but if you don't have good marketing, then you're not going to get more people to really understand what you're all about, and they're not going to go through the funnel and convert. And if you don't have good positioning, then the marketing is not going to work either, because then you're just falling on deaf ears and people are not resonating with the content. So it's like there's literally nothing that's, at least in my opinion, I don't know what your 2 cents on this. Like, it just feels like all three of those pillars are so crucial, and that it just doesn't work out with one of them missing.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's all important, definitely. If I had to think though of 2080, of what matters the most at the end of the day, is it's definitely like the whole thing of being able to have proof of concept in how you teach. I think that's point number one.
Yeah.
And then if I had to skip to the next most important thing, it's marketing, right? Because that's the only two things you need. And you don't even need to have a website, email marketing. You don't even need to have any of that stuff. You don't yet need to even pay for ads, right? As long as you're good at marketing and you have a great product, right, you can scale, right? The other stuff is supposed to help you build your business better, structure it out well enough, right? But I would say those are the two, arguably the most important things, and I think the things that people struggle with the most, right?
Amazing.
Is So I would say, if I had to sum it up, is it what's most crucial? But yes, you're right. Like in our process, we say they must do every step correctly.
Yeah.
Right. Don't fluff any step. Just follow what's proven.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. There's this one guy actually from South Africa. He's now in Australia. He's launching this thing called he's actually worked in the corporate world. He's launching an offer around new product development, and it's the way he's packaging his marketing is gonna kill. Like I can already tell. And so he's just done every step perfectly well. And so you just want to make sure you build the foundation correctly, right? And yeah, so I would definitely say that if I had to sum it up, if you can teach people really, really well, let's say you don't even have the course structured perfectly out, but as long as you can, find a way to deliver the information, whether that's through like calls, trainings, whatever it is, right? If you can teach people and you can do the marketing, like you can make good money. At least you can make good money.
Tell me something. I think one of the questions that might be asked after watching this, people might be like, well, what platform do we use? Like, is it this? Is it that? Is it Kajabi or Guy Level? Any thoughts on what platform works best? I know it's maybe subjective and open to opinions, but what do you think?
So it's actually a funny question because part of one of those campaigns, the one where we scaled to 2 million a month with that big team, a huge part of my role was actually the funnel and the back end stuff of the strategy and stuff like this, right? So there was a lot of technical work I was doing. And you have to imagine that company was getting, oh my gosh, I think it was like a few thousand people opting in every single day. There was no more than a few thousand. It was stupid. Like I remember our tracking database, literally like it couldn't even handle that much tracking data, right? It was ridiculous, right? And so I've tried a lot of softwares, and I think there's two that I think of, in my view, are the best I've used, the most simple, because the worst thing you want to do is have a lot of softwares talking to each other. You'd rather simplify and have a few different softwares and try to get as much of them to integrate with each other. And so I can definitely say the two main ones as a CRM, website builder, email marketing, the best that I've actually, number one for me is Go High Level, and then number two is HubSpot, right?
Amazing.
Go High Level, I think, is really, really, it fits this business model so well. All the features and everything, it works flawlessly. And all my clients have moved into Go High Level. So Go High Level is really good as your main CRM. And they also do nicely, they do have a course there, they do have the community feature there. However, the one thing that we've done a little bit differently is we don't use the course hosting features there. We actually use School for the course hosting features.
Nice.
And the reason is because we've just found that School has become a lot more, or at least I see a huge trend in that it's going to be one of the biggest learning platforms. And so it's very much within the ecosystem for people. It's very recognizable for people. Even if you send people to like a school environment, that's what I'm seeing, is that a lot of people are like, it's
very
school,
intuitive.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. So it's becoming a huge learning platform. It's funny because my cousin actually, he's working with some other client, and they're like, oh no, we want to build our own server, our own platform for the site. It's like, it's completely not necessary. It doesn't give you
Such
more
a waste of
authority.
money. You could spend all of that on marketing.
Exactly. It doesn't give you anything actually, right? It's just like, it's a very traditional way of looking at it. But honestly, for your CRM, website builder, funnel builder, email marketing, if you want to use WhatsApp for messaging, you want to connect your social platforms, I recommend Go High Level. If not HubSpot, HubSpot's significantly more expensive, and I think it's like there's some features. Yeah, it's okay. Go High Level. I mean, HubSpot's actually pretty cool, but it's really expensive. And then School for hosting your course, and I think honestly those two things are the only things you need to build a really, really solid digital product business.
Yeah, so if you had to use HubSpot, it would mainly be from a CRM point of view. I'm assuming emails and maybe building a landing page. And
yeah, they actually have similar features, just that HubSpot takes it to a little bit of a deeper level.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. I call it rant-worthy mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've spoken about, like, okay, you need all of this stuff and you need to be a good teacher.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that you just know that you kind of got to get your blood to boil. Like, there's certain things on the agency level when we get a local client and they don't know how to manage the work their leads. So I'm like, I want to, my blood starts boiling, because it's like, if that's like the number one thing that you need to understand on how to do well in order to squeeze out all the revenue that's sitting in the potential that's been generated in terms of leads. So my question to you is there any rant-worthy mistakes that you just get your blood boiling because you see people just make this mistake over and over from a coaching or digital product standpoint? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Copying other people,
Really?
right? It's that's the most common I've seen. It's not a bad thing to copy. Actually, in fact, some of the smartest people copy, but you don't want to, you run the risk of, you need to follow the right person first of all. And you see, like, I've just seen a lot of people copy, right? And it's mostly from a marketing standpoint where I have the rant worthiness, where it's like, dude, you cannot just, copy the same person. So I think the mindset of look at what's viral, and it's mostly on the marketing side, I'd say, of creating content. Look at what's viral, then copy it, right? And
put your own spin on it, actually. That's the goal.
Yes, exactly. It's always the goal to put your own spin. But the thing I see a lot of people make mistakes on is the strategy comes from the wrong place, right? So copying, it's not a bad thing to do, right? It's you must model what works, in my view, but you need to understand the whole strategy. A lot of people, like, let's say, I've had clients, for example, that have come to us and they don't understand why they're not making more revenue, why they're not making less. And that's because they don't understand what they're doing, right? They're just copying blindly. And then if the market grows too fast, then the copying just dies out more and more and more, and it just doesn't work. And then the only person who benefits from the copying is the person who does it fast enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
which is not an effective way to go about it in the long run, right? So I think the thing I see for, let's say, coaches in particular that are trying to, like, now go viral on social media, they just look at videos and they copy blindly, which I think can get you to a certain point, but there's lots of flaws in it, right? And it's like you don't understand really what you're doing, and I think that's because, as you know, marketing is phase 4, something like this, right? It's phase 4 exactly. And so there's 3 phases before that where you have to understand the whole foundation, or at least positioning. And a lot of people don't understand positioning. There's one lady I'm working with. Her name's Beata. She's a mom of 2. She has a fitness offer, and she makes money like this, right? It's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down every month, right? And it's because she doesn't have the business streamlined, so she hasn't, finalized those first 2 phases. Positioning a little bit, but it's not that much work, but not good systems, not great things, and no, like, solid, like, now way to reinvest and have the whole. She can't even reinvest because everything is just all over the show, and she's modeling what works, right? So I would definitely say, like, one huge thing is copying, or, like, let's say blindly copying, right? So don't get me wrong, I cannot be the person to tell you don't copy, because, or at least model, because modeling what works is very crucial. Yeah. But be careful of going into a spiral of just copying people, trying to get views, and then because it's not the people that actually have the most views that make the most money. Hundreds. Right? That I can guarantee you for sure. Right? We have this German couple, they're making significantly more than a lot of our clients, and they have less than 2,000 followers, right? Wow. So they're not the most viral at all. So it's all about positioning. And I think a lot of people, when they want to sell digital product, they say, this guy's a coach, this person's selling a digital product. Okay? I'm going to model their content, I'm going to do what they're doing, and I'm going to go viral. And then it never really works out. They don't even understand what's working and what's not. That's even worse, right? So that's, I think, where I can say there's a rant-worthy moment, because I've had a lot of people that have come to us, they're just confused, they don't know what's going on in their business, how to scale, and then you ask them what they do. We just model viral content. So it works to a degree, but also you need to know, you need to have the fundamentals in place, right? 100%.
You need to look at it like as a business.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've seen is, like, a lot of coaches and consultants, they're so into the industry in terms of the information and the education, and they're so passionate about teaching it that they actually forget how to run a business. And some of them actually don't know how to run a business. Some people might be amazing at what they do, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be a business owner. There's a big difference between a teacher and a business owner. So the first thing about selling a digital product is you have to be a good teacher, right? But most people are not good business owners. I see the same thing in the e-commerce space. It's very easy to start an online store, and it's very easy to get to 10, 20, 30 grand a month. And essentially that business grows to 100, 200k and then fails. Why? Because the person never transitioned into being a business owner. The moment you have a business, you need to act as a business owner. And I think my
100%.
rant-worthy moment is when people don't act like
I
business
know what
owners.
you mean, yeah.
They just act like the ignorant, naive teenager that they were when they were 16.
yeah.
And I think it's a matter of understanding that with being a business owner, there's like this transition phase where you go, test, little bit of money. Oh shit, now it's a business.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a post that you made on your page the other day, and you said that millionaires, okay, let's say small business owners are usually, I think it's like 75% emotional, 25%
Yeah, so small
logical.
business owners are 80% emotional, 20% logical. Millionaires are about 50-50, and
50-50.
billionaires are 80% logical, 20% emotional, if
And-
that much.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the biggest difference.
It's also, yeah, it's the same for us, exact same. So the clients that really scale, we're more logical. The more emotional clients always struggle. Like you can make, in our business, just as an average of the clients we've worked with very closely, that have actually got a good product and done this, you can make 4 figures per month, US dollars, right? So anywhere between $1,000 and $9,000 per month by being that person, right? Now, to scale past that, you have to start becoming more, and to get to 6 figures per month, very logical. Like you cannot be an emotional person. You can't be the person who just makes change just like this and this. You can't,
Hundreds.
right? Everything is meticulously thought out. With that one client, everything, it's quite funny because every decision, and one of the huge part of their success is their leadership and how they built a team. They actually had 80 employees for a digital product business, which is crazy. Right? Because I mean, to pull that numbers, you need like client success managers. It's crazy,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And so leadership and being able to manage, like everything was. I remember there was one key decision on how are we going to improve basically like the conversion rate of this one key thing, and the whole company system was a 2-week thing. Every single person in the company at like, let's say, at a certain level and higher were involved in that decision. And we'd go back and forth between this different person, this different person, this different person, this different person. There's not one thing we tried to not miss as far as we could take it. Let's say 70%, right? You'll never know 100% as you also told me, right? And everything meticulously looked at, then we'd find the final conclusion, right? Most people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna make the change fast. I'm just gonna do this, whatever it is. I feel like this is gonna be like, and they don't understand that it's key decisions, right? Being able to keep things simple, being able to have ways to measure those changes, right? Are so crucial, right? They even had a saying. It's like, we love to innovate, but never over innovate. And most importantly, they like to keep it stupid simple. And all those little principles, all those things, it comes from a very logical way of solving problems.
100%. I see the exact same thing with the e-commerce space. Is the emotional people just don't scale. They just can't scale. And we have 2 of our own internal brands, businesses that we started with partners. And the one partner is quite a technically inclined human being. He loves playing around on the site. And the moment we got to 500K a month, I said, now you don't touch the site. And every time he would make a change, I was like, get out. Don't touch the site, because we have a 2.3% conversion rate, and everything that you do can impact. Let's say it makes a 10% difference. We're losing 50K. What people don't understand is that when you're doing $1 million a month, most stores run at 100, like 10% PBT, profit before tax, and luckily we have profitable stores. But let's say hypothetically that you do $1 million and you do 100,000 Rand PBT. One change to that site and your conversion rate drops by, let's say, 30%. You've gone from 1 million to 700. Now, as opposed to making 100K profit, you're making 200K loss with one change. And that's what people don't understand. They go, oh, I'm going to change this banner. I'm going to do this. You don't understand. The moment you make that small change on such volume of traffic, you jeopardizing the whole business just because you didn't like the color of the banner. Or I didn't like the wording. Or I want to say this instead of that. If it's working, make incremental changes. For example, the team, we want to improve the website speed. And the company's now at 2 million a month in revenue. So we're saying, guys, let's improve the website speed, but first we're going to do it in phases. It's not we're just not going to just start installing plugins and random stuff and remove scripts. What we're going to do is we're going to look at all the different apps. The first thing is we look at all the different apps that we don't need anymore. Let's delete that and wait. Cool. Amazing. Next step would be to look at all the images and maybe just reduce the size of the images. Cool. Those are the low risk, high impact moves that we can make. And then it's a matter of doing this and doing that and then wait and see. Because the moment conversion rate goes down, you can just revert.
Of course.
So you're mitigating the risk of losing money. I think this is the thing, like small business owners, the moment the store starts scaling, they're just overly emotional about the business. They don't know how to manage it. They never transition to being a business owner. and that's why they fail. And I think it's the exact same thing with coaches and consultants.
100%, man. 100%. That's the exact same thing, man. The exact same thing.
Listen, I think it was amazing having you here. Is there any final thoughts that you want to share? Now is the time to do it before we end off.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much that. You guys know my marketing message is like, I think everybody who has something that can be productized, as not everything can unfortunately be productized, but I honestly think that every single person should find a way of building some form of digital real estate, even if it influences your service business, and you really just use it as a way to get more clients. I think it's one of the, right now, I think it's crazy how lucrative it is. And I think one thing which I've just noticed is that a lot of people are very, against showing their face, right? And one of the things that Warren Buffett always says, he speaks about timing and when to enter a certain market. And so what might be unconventional today will not be unconventional in 10, 20 years, 30 years from now. And in maybe 10, 20, 30 years from now, it might be like, I can show my face, whatever it is. But the opportunity is gone. And so that's just part of the timing, the game of the timing. And I think that the more people that come onto it are able to crush it, and they get to benefit the most. But anyways, those are just two things which I always have when I speak to a lot of people. But yeah.
Love it, man. I really appreciate you coming through. Much love to you, and thanks for adding the value.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Bye.